speaking of China and I guess Russia also, so I guess today there was also a UN Security Council resolution on the Strait of Hormuz, I assume brought by America, um, for it to be opened, or I would have to assume. And apparently, I guess China and Russia vetoed it. So let's watch this Al Jazeera video. It's a short one. This one is China, Russia veto UN Security Council resolution on Strait of Hormuz. Let's go.
Well, something we've had our eyes on in the past hour is at the United Nations, where the Security Council has failed to approve Bahrain's resolution on protecting shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. These are some of the latest pictures out of the chamber itself. Gabriel Elizondo joins us from the UN there in New York. And Gabriel, so a decision against approving this Bahrain resolution. Talk us through what this means.
Yeah, well, at the start, it's certainly a defeat for Bahrain, and certainly by a wider measure, perhaps a defeat.
So I'm a little surprised it was brought by Bahrain instead of by the United States, but okay.
For all of the GCC countries that were backing this resolution. Clearly, this resolution had been in the works for about 2 weeks. It had gone through 6 different iterations or edits on 6 different occasions because France, Russia, and China all had reservations about it over the last 2 weeks or so. But in the end,
I'm curious about France right now. I wonder why. Because I know also France got like one of their ships to be allowed through. So I'm like, I know that Macron behind the scenes is making deals with the IRGC to, allow French ships through. So it's like, I almost feel like they're just like they've just kind of accepted that fact, and like they might think that they can get more out of more out of this whatever deal that they have going on with the IRGC than this would even get them if it passed, I guess, if I had to assume.
This resolution was, in the words of some diplomats, watered down to try to appease particularly Russia and China. Bahrain thought they were able to get enough votes to get this through. They did. There were 11 of the 15 members of the Security Council that voted for it. 2 abstained. That would have been Pakistan and Colombia. So with the 11 votes, it would have passed. It would have received the 9 minimum needed to pass. However, and this gets to the however, Russia and China, being 2 of the permanent members of the council, have their veto power, and they decided to use it. They both.
Yeah, and this is why also, for the record, I don't agree with any states having veto power when it comes to like the UN Security Council resolution. So that's my personal opinion. I think that like if this international body is supposed to have any teeth whatsoever, it cannot be at the whims of individual states to just like unilaterally veto specific actions, because we saw what that did in Gaza, right? So like if this would have passed or whatever, from the pure like idea of international law, then I guess I would be like, okay, then they can, if they want to, send some ships over there to try to secure the Strait of Hormuz. But the problem therein lies is that like they still can't do anything, because if America can't open it, then nobody can. So those ships would just start, getting sunk to the bottom of the ocean by Iran regardless. But I guess it would have put more pressure on Iran to actually, try to maybe make some sort of diplomatic resolution regarding the Strait of Hormuz. But yeah.
Both did a double veto of this resolution, essentially killing it, so it will not be adopted. This resolution initially called for Article 7, which would have given member states authorization to use force to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Russia and China very much against that. They said, we will veto this as of 2 weeks ago. So that's why this negotiations went on for so long. The language was changed. Ultimately, what was voted on in the last few minutes was a version that said, strongly encourage states interested in the use of the Strait of Hormuz for commercial maritime routes to coordinate efforts in a defensive manner. That's much different than using force. However, Bahrain was hoping that this would be enough to get Russia and China at least to abstain and allow this to pass. Clearly, that didn't work. With the abstention, it's now gone down. So clearly, Bahrain will have to look in the mirror here, reassess how they managed this entire process. But clearly, the security.
There's nothing you're going to do, I think, to get China and Russia on board. This is all strategically very beneficial for both of them. Russia is going to be able to sell their oil to Europe again, I believe, after this. I think they already have removed at least some of the sanctions for that. China is, they're able to buy Russian oil already. They're very, well positioned in regard to their energy, especially with their green energy as well. So, all of this, none of this would. Now, I think that if America started, blowing up the energy infrastructure, like Trump has said earlier, or that he might do tonight, then they might, China and Russia might be a little bit more upset, but they won't be upset with Iran. I think they'll be upset with America because, I think that would actually cause more economic harm and impact than they would really want to take in exchange for the strategic benefits that they're getting out of this current situation that America and Iran are in. So.
Council is very much divided, and clearly Russia and China, with this veto, showed that they are staunch allies once again of Iran and will use that veto power to back Iran when necessary. Russia and China both saying that this resolution was too strong in condemning Iran and too strong in the language against Iran, which both Moscow and Beijing say it's Iran that is the victim of the aggressor and not the aggressor here. Clearly, that is the diplomatic undercurrents.
I mean, obviously, Iran is not the aggressor, right? There's one country that flew or that drove all their ships or whatever thousands of miles away from their coastline to go attack another country, and then there's the other country which is just sitting there, defending itself and shooting missiles at the proxies that America has surrounded them with. So yeah, obviously they're not the aggressor in this situation. And then also, if you look at the comments, they're saying exactly what I said. The USA vetoed multiple peace resolutions raised for Gaza. Yep. Thank you, China and Russia. Yeah, remember vetoes against Gaza. Russia and China doing what America always does by vetoing any resolution. Yeah, exactly. And this is why there should be no unilateral vetoes whatsoever. But if that is the rules, then I don't care if they use them in this way or whatever. I'm not some person who believes in if someone else is not playing by the rules, then you should still play by the rules out of principle or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's the same argument we have in America with Republicans all the time, where Republicans don't play by the rules at all. And then the Democrats go up there and they're like, well, we must abide by the parliamentarian if they say that this is a budgetary issue or whatever. It's shut the fuck up. Just just play by the same rules that they're playing by. If they have no rules, then we have no rules. That's my opinion.